How to use a PARQ Plus. Hi, I'm Hayley from Parallel Coaching, and a massive warm welcome to today's training where we're going to explore the PARQ Plus. Now, this is often something that comes with a lot of confusion, partly because people just aren't explained exactly what it is, when to use it, how to use it. So that's what we're going to do today. You're going to learn how to use the PARQ Plus with your clients, including when to refer a client to a GP. And that's what I love the most about this PARQ Plus, is it makes it crystal clear. There's no grey areas, and then you know when to refer to a GP or a consultant and when not to. Also, we're going to look at the format of the PARQ Plus and how you can actually use this best with your clients. And we're going to look at how we do risk stratification using it and what the questions mean. So we're going to spend a bit of time going through this. This is great if you're working towards your long-term conditions or exercise referral qualification, or if you're already qualified but looking to implement it. So that's really who this is targeted for. So let's dive in to find out exactly what on earth I'm on about by a PARQ Plus in the first place. So a PARQ Plus is a risk stratification form, and it's used instead of a normal PARQ when you know that your client has medical conditions. So a PARQ stands for Pre-Activity Readiness Questionnaire. And this is the plus version, the extended version. So if you know your client will pass a PARQ and they're pretty healthy, then you're probably just going to implement a normal PARQ with them to double check that and have a written statement that they're all good. There's no conditions, there's no medical conditions, etc. But if you know your client's going to refer it, it seems pretty futile to just give them the form knowing they're going to refer it. Then you've got to go and ask more questions anyway. So you can cut out that first step by going straight to the PARQ Plus. And it was created to minimize unnecessary GP referrals whilst keeping the client safe. And that's really important to bear in mind. And we'll have a good look through the form today so you know how it works. But the things that are good about it is that it's great for risk stratification, and it'll help you use it to check your clients are safe to exercise when they have some medical conditions. Also, it's great for a referral process because you can know who needs referring and who doesn't. And this is the biggest question I get asked on Messenger, on text, on email. Can I work with this client? Are they safe to exercise? Do I need to refer them to a GP first? And with some of the relationships with GPs, especially here in the UK with the NHS, it can take a bit of time and a bit of forward and backwards with referrals and consultants and things. So if the client has a controlled medical condition, it may be best for them to just start exercising with you straight away, as long as you're qualified to work with them. So that's the first thing that I suppose is the hinge point for PARQ Plus, is you need to be qualified to work with the condition your client has. This doesn't replace being qualified. That's a really important thing to understand. If you don't have your long-term conditions or your exercise referral qualification, when you get to the point of your client referring your PARQ or the first questions in your PARQ Plus, then you can't work with them. So really this item, this PARQ Plus document, is for those that are already qualified or qualifying in exercise referral and long-term conditions. That's really important. Okay, let's have a look at the format of this. We're going to bring this up on screen in a second, but the format comes from the official PARQ Plus, which is released by ePARMed X, and it's on a non-editable PDF. And that's what you can be able to download from this video. I'll put the latest link in there, but obviously that does change over time. So if you want to go and look it up, ePARMed X is where we get that PARQ Plus from. And here are some format ideas of how you can now use this, because actually a non-editable PDF looks great. It's easy to use, it's easy to share, it's easy to format, but you can't edit it. You can't actually put the client answers inside it. It just shows up as an image. So here are some ideas. You can print it and complete it by hand with your client, which isn't a bad thing actually. And sometimes, especially with older populations, you don't want an online version that they may be struggling with technology wise. And if you're going to do a consultation when you're next to your client anyway, you might as well just do it with them. So you might choose to go old school and print it and do it by hand. Then you also might choose to recreate it as a fillable PDF. So once you've downloaded the PDF, there's lots of different app type companies you can use that will have a desktop app where you can literally change it from a solid PDF to a fillable PDF. and then you can use that. I'm not a big fan of that method because quite often when your client saves it, they end up saving it wrong, or they end up filling it in on an online version, and it just gets a bit messy. The other option that I quite like, a little bit clunky, is recreating it into a Word document. So you literally create your own version of this PARQ Plus, pop it into a Word document, email it to your clients. They can then fill it in, save it, and then send it back to you. That's quite nice. Or probably my favorite is recreate it as an online form. And you're going to use something like Google Forms, Jot Form, Fill Out Form, whatever you use for other client forms and consultations and stuff. The good thing about having it as an online form is that when you've got the signature in there, it's date stamped. You can then obviously get an email version of that sent to your email. So you've got it for easy access and storage. You can then easily forward that email summary on to GPs, etc. if you need to. I like it. It's easy for them to do. The downside of this is that if they're doing it on their own, some of the questions can be a little bit confusing. So when you recreate it, just think about the format you're putting together so that it's clear that maybe you've got conditional items that if they pass the first bit, they don't need to move on to the second bit, etc. So depending on how techie you are, it's a great option as long as you don't think it's going to take you too long to put together. But it's great if you're going to work with a lot of different clients that have conditions and you know that you're going to want something that's maybe more remote rather than face-to-face. So it is great for risk stratification, and there are some quick rules to go through, but I want to show you the form first, and then we can use this as a good way of recapping that later. This is your PARQ Plus. Let me increase this, and then I might have to bring it back down again so you can see what's going on. But it basically is making sure that your clients are ready to exercise. That's our main focus, but we're accepting they're probably going to fail the PARQ. So your first section is what we call the primary questions. These are your general health questions. And if your client says yes to any of these questions, then they need to move on to the secondary questions, and that's where it's different to a normal PARQ. But if they answer no to all of them, then they're good, they're cleared, they're ready to go and do physical activity. You don't need any additional help from there. You don't need any additional referrals or any additional questions. So these questions in the primary section are pretty standard PARQ questions. Has your doctor ever said you have a heart condition or high blood pressure? Do you feel pain in your chest at rest during your daily activities or of living, or when you do physical activity? Do you lose balance because of dizziness, or have you lost consciousness in the last 12 months? Have you ever been diagnosed with another chronic medical condition other than heart disease or high blood pressure? So that one's really important. Are you currently taking prescribed medications? And do you currently have, in the last 12 months, a bone, joint, soft tissue, muscle, ligament problem that might be made worse from physical activity? Remember, it's about being made worse from physical activity. And then number 7, has your doctor ever said that you should only do medically supervised physical activity? These are great questions. And if these aren't appearing in your general risk stratification, you're missing a trick, because if your client answers yes to at least one of these, it shows that they are higher risk and they do need adaptations to their programming. They do need extra supervision and extra care. So really important, do those first 7 questions, yes or no answer. If your client answers no, good to go. They can go and start getting more physically active. I mean, on your PARQ, this PARQ Plus form from PARMEDx, it's done so that the client could go and do this on their own. So the idea, it then says about going and starting active. Obviously, that's then going to be under your guidance because you're the PT or the Fit Pro that's doing it with them. If you answered yes to one of the more questions, then you need to complete pages 2 and 3 below. And then it's got some things about delaying activity if you're ill, if you're pregnant, or if your health changes, basically. So then we go into the secondary questions. Now, these are going to be relevant to the medical conditions they have. So straight away, do you have arthritis, osteoporosis, or back problems? If it's a no, go straight to the next question. If it's a yes, then they need to start answering these secondary questions, yes or no items, basically, for how stable that condition is. It's got it for bone problems at the top. You've then got cancer, cardiovascular conditions, high blood pressure, metabolic conditions, including diabetes. Then mental health problems. It's then got respiratory, spinal cord, stroke, and then it's got other medical conditions not listed. So the good thing is it goes through each bracket. Now your client doesn't have to fill in everything, because let's just say the only thing on here is that they've had a stroke. They'll only fill in section 9 that you can see. They won't fill in the other sections unless that's relevant for them. So it's actually, although it looks like a long form, it isn't. It's just in sections. So once you've kind of got that information, the next thing to do is to then see where they're at. If they've got a yes, then you do need to follow this up with a medical consultant of some sort. This could be a GP, it could be a consultant, it could be the person that's prescribed the treatment process that they're going through. I know, for example, with cancer, a lot of people will go to their oncologist or to their cancer consultant. Those with diabetes, they might go to a diabetic nurse. Those that have musculoskeletal problems, it could be a physio, for example. But what we want to do is have more information about that condition, and that's because they've flagged to say that it's not necessarily stable and under control. So we want to know more about that condition before we start working with them. If all of their secondary questions are no's, this is where it gets great. This is really good for Fit Pros. So that we know they've got a condition because they failed the first primary questions, but the answers in the secondary questions are all no's. Then it means that they have a condition, but it's stable. And if it's stable and you're qualified to work with that client, you're good to go. So you're just going to start. You don't have to wait for that referral process with the GP. And that's really important. For example, let's take a classic client. I want to show you how this would work. Appear all healthy, but they do have high blood pressure and they take high blood pressure medications. So let's just say they tick yes on the, has your doctor ever told you have high blood pressure? Yes. And they put in their medication on here and they tick yes on there. Then they write what the medication is. And you're like, okay, well, you failed the first section, but that's okay. We go down into the second section. Not to do with arthritis, miss that, skip cancer, skip heart and cardiovascular. The only one they then answer is section 4, high blood pressure. So do you have difficulty controlling your condition with medications or other physician prescribed therapies? And they're like, nope, it's been the same for years. I just take a pill and it's fine. Do you have a resting blood pressure equal to or greater than 160/90 with or without your medication? That's weeding out whether their medication works. So if they go, nope, it's not above that, it's stabilized, it's perfect. They've now failed the first section, but they passed the second section, which means you can just get them to sign and you can go and start exercising. So then you do the participant declaration at the bottom and you're good to go. That's what I love about this, is it cuts out a lot of unnecessary things where your client is quite stable. But if your client's condition is up and down, struggling to maintain it, then you're going to want to make sure that they are actually safe to exercise first, and you're going to refer to the GP or the consultant first. Right, enough of looking at that one. Let's hop back over here and we'll recap those quick rules so you have it available. If they answer no to all primary questions, they are safe to exercise. If they answer yes to any of the primary questions, then complete the secondary questions. If when you complete then you go on and complete the relevant secondary questions for the client. And if they answer no to all the secondary questions, they are safe to exercise as long as you are qualified, and make sure you use the disclaimer or the declaration at the bottom. If they answer yes to any secondary questions, they need to have confirmation from a GP or consultant, and you can use your existing referral process. Now, remember, sign the declaration that's at the bottom, regardless of any of these answers. So I think that summarizes the PARQ Plus really well. I think it shows how you can use it. And although it looks quite big, it's actually not that big once you get started. So why does this matter? And also, why is it important that you are qualified to go and work with these clients? There are 2 different qualifications. You've got the exercise referral, which is the older syllabus. It's been around for a little while, and the newer version of it is called the long-term conditions qualification. If you want more information on that, you'll be able to see it on the suggested videos at the end of this YouTube. So the long-term conditions qualification represents the future of the fitness industry, and that's not just my opinion. Like, the trends show it. So health conditions are on the rise and more clients are referring PARQs. So if you know your client's going to refer a normal PARQ, give them a PARQ Plus instead. They do require adaptations and they require specialist programming if they've got any conditions at all. It empowers trainers to provide more inclusive and effective support for clients dealing with a wide range of health challenges. And whether you're looking to specialise or enhance your current skills, the long-term conditions course is really good to help you stay ahead of the curve. Now, remember, this is most important. Without your exercise referral or your long-term conditions qualification, you cannot work with those that refer a PARQ, aka if they answered yes to any of those primary questions, you're out. They need to go to someone that is qualified, or if they have any conditions or take any medications. Remember, that was in that first section. So that's why it matters. It's really important. They need adaptations to their programming. They need to be under somebody who understands about the condition and how to adapt to it. And that's what the long-term conditions qualification does. So inside our version of the long-term conditions, it's something that we teach here at Parallel Coaching. We teach it online so that you can be anywhere in the world when you study for this, and you can study at your own pace. However, we usually say that 16 weeks is a good time frame to get qualified. So if you're not already qualified in this and it's something that you want to do so you can work with clients that have conditions, then definitely check out our long-term conditions course. It'll help you be able to expand the amount of people that you're working with. We will help you learn at your own speed. You'll have your learning schedule that can help structure your studies, and that will take about 16 weeks based on 3 to 4 hours of study per week, but you do have up to 3 years to complete it all. And it's a mixture of video tutorials you can download to audio or to video. You've also got a physical manual and your certification, and it's a really nice structure because it involves e-assessments and a case study, so it's stuff you can do totally remotely. The quickest someone has completed this course is 10 days. But that's going some, and it's important to still make sure that you're learning all of the content as you work your way through. If you do want to enroll or find out more about the long-term conditions course, then please do check the recommended video and the link that's alongside this video to find out more. You can get started at any point. You don't have to wait for an enrollment date. So you might sign up today, you'd be able to start learning immediately, which is a really nice way of you progressing as a Fit Pro and being able to work with clients that do fail that PARQ. So first of all, I want to say thank you for joining me. I know these videos are longer in length, but it's really important to see that you are progressing yourself as a Fit Pro and you're starting to think about who you can work with and how you can work with them safely. Please do comment below this video with your big takeaway, and most importantly, subscribe to our YouTube for more helpful training. And also, I'm going to include the PDF link to the PARQ Plus, so you can download it to PDF directly out of the description. So all you need to do is find the little description button underneath, and you can click on it. Or if you're struggling to find those, which sometimes it's hard if you're on a phone, then click the link through to the blog. That's where you'll be able to download everything and see all these notes as well. So it can make it a little bit easier to find. Please do reach out if you need anything or any help at all. If you've got questions about the conditions course, if you've got questions about how you're using your PARQ or about conditions with your clients, just reach out to us. That's what we're here for. So thank you so much for joining me. I wish you a brilliant day ahead, and take care.